So I'd like to talk to you in regards to the first thing is the music program that you've been doing. You've been doing music with grade 8 students, but you've been doing it down in a dance studio.
Yeah. Yeah.
That must have been very different.
Well, it was okay. Because of the fact that, yes, I did have access to a lot of iPads, things like that, and the fact that I had my computer from school here and I can take it down. What I had to do was I had to find a lot of videos, because as opposed to being in a band room constantly with all the instruments around, being able to show them the different parts of an instrument, I went to YouTube, the internet in general, and found different clips and things like that that helped them get a visual, because I obviously can't bring down a full drum set constantly. So I would find a video of someone playing the drums, and then through that use the video as being the thing where I was explaining what different parts of a drum set are.
You were able to bring guitars down. I mean,
yep.
I would see you every
in the end,
day
yeah,
doing
for
it.
that, yeah. So I mean that took up time.
Yes, it did.
I mean, it took up about almost 20 minutes of class of instructional time, which was unfortunate. But we made it work. I mean,
the kids learned. I saw
yeah,
that, and they loved your class.
Ideally, yes, I would be in a band room for that, because I can just say, okay, go grab the guitars and come sit down, as opposed to me having to come up, making sure I'm not disturbing someone else's class.
Well, the ideal situation and everything, right, Stroh, is that, I mean, you got a classroom, you got all the stuff there and everything like that, and you had to be so innovative with that. You had to be so innovative of what I'm going to do, where am I going to grab my stuff and everything.
Yeah.
What other things have you tried?
I mean, with that, I mean, this coming up week is when the thing that we were talking about with the garage band, I'm going to try it coming up next week. I haven't tried it yet with them, so what I'll be doing is I'll be taking down the iPads, and I'll be sort of, for the first couple of days, just playing around with garage band, and then you gave me that package, so I'm going to go through it a little bit with them and then see how they do with that. Making it, what that will do is that will bring, so when I am starting the guitars, which is when I'm going to start that kind of stuff, it will be beneficial in the fact that for the first couple of days I won't have to run up to the band room.
Yes.
And I'll be able to use the iPads to show them the sounds of the different chords, things like that, and let them learn that way. And they can actually, with GarageBand, they can put their fingers onto a digital version of a fretboard, which is on the guitar. So they'll be able to do that, and they won't need guitars for that. I've never used it with class ever, so I mean it's gonna be it'll be scary. Yeah. But at the same time, I've seen some of the kids actually on it before.
Yeah.
So even if I'm not the one that's spearheading the whole thing, some of the kids would probably be able to speak up and say, "Oh, you know what, Mr. Stroh, it looks like I know a little bit more about this," and I could say, "Okay, well, let's show the class and see what we can do with this." And I'm personally not afraid of that.
No, you're not.
So I like that, and I like to be able to say, "Well, look," and I can have, "Hey, class, come over, look what so and so's doing. This is what we can do." And then I'll know it from then on. But at that point, that also I think brings the kids more involved in sort of almost every single project, every final project that I do with every single one of my units in planning is on the computers, which is why I would prefer to be in a computer lab, because I can just say, "Okay, guys, turn around, go on a computer, and work on this."
Yeah. You weren't in a lab with them last year for planning, and yet you made them do videos, you made them do the editing.
Yeah, and I mean, that's where the cows come in now, is what I'm doing is I'm doing a lot of Prezi. They've used things like Logster, and some of them do revert back to the PowerPoint constantly. I just have shown them a little bit more with Prezi and things like that. And some of the other groups have opted to use Prezi as opposed to PowerPoint. And I just say, "Oh, look what this group's doing. And look what you can do with Prezi as opposed to what you can do with PowerPoint. You can still use PowerPoint, that's fine. However, this is something else you can do as well." And some of them have chosen to.
You've never shied away from challenge.
No. No.
You're in how many departments?
This year I'm in 5.
And how many rooms?
All different. Oh no, I have 2 blocks in a row in one room.
Okay, that's pretty good. And even if it's Ed, you have that.
No,
even if it's Ed, the phys ed group has decided to start doing some blogging and everything for that. And you've been part of that. You've taken courses. The entire phys ed department has handled that totally on their own. This is what the next step is.
Yeah, I mean, that started a couple of years ago with starting with the interview process of things, having co-constructed marks with the students, having a sit down and talking about where they think they are, to have them more involved in the marking process, and realizing where we're coming from when it comes to assessment and things like that. And that's where it sort of, that was the spearhead of it all and what it brought in. Then we thought, you know what, to have them, as opposed to having an interview once or twice a semester at reporting periods, where we technically have to give them the grade, it now brings it to the point where they can, throughout the semester, whenever they feel like it, if they say, oh, I went for a run at home, my teacher didn't see that, how can I express to them that I'm doing the stuff outside of class? Which is a question we always had during the interviews, was what are you doing outside of your hour and 20 minutes a day in PE?
Yeah.
And before they would say what they did, but as a teacher I don't see that, so how can we bring those two together in our sort of our digital evidence, which is what we call it now, is having them on the blog saying, this is me, take a picture of themselves after a run, sweaty face, red face, and saying, this is me after running for so-and-so minutes. And that's where we brought in the iPhones, and there's all the GPS apps that we can use and they can show.
So you have the actual photo, which is the evidence. You have actual data from the running. And you have the students reflecting on it.
Exactly. Our PE department is fairly technology savvy, so it was a seamless, okay, we're going to blog. Oh, okay, I know how to do that. Whereas it may be different in some other departments if some people haven't blogged and things like that previously. But I think as an initiative, a department can probably sit down and have that discussion with everyone. The next one is this garage band that I'm going to be trying with my grade 8s. I haven't done it in my first 3 rotations because I was sort of trying to learn a bit myself, and I was new to the music department. I'd never done anything in there, so yeah, that's my next thing, and that'll be coming up next week, and we'll see how that goes. And if it goes, it goes.
I'll be popping in on that one.
Okay, yeah. So come on down, and we'll see. And yeah, I mean, if it doesn't work, we can revamp it and see what happens next year. Because now I have 2 blocks of it next year. So so we'll see what happens next, because that'll be my program now next year, that grade 8 program. So if this works now, then that will be implemented in a 4-week rotation. As long as teachers are buying into the fact that, okay, if something doesn't work, how can we make it work? As opposed to saying, oh, that doesn't work, I'm not going to do it anymore. That's where we need to sort of try and fiddle with that and say, no, you know what, like it can work in a class. And as long as we try this, it will work in a class. So eventually, hopefully everyone will buy into the fact that, yeah, these things do work and they do help students. The amount of physical fitness that I see happening now in my PE classes, because just from this 1 year of blogging, it's astronomical.
It's increased because of it.
It's increased because of it. Because there's kids that are now thinking, oh, I'm at home, I can go out and go for a run and show my teacher, and they can see that, whereas before they're like, oh, my teacher might not see it, whatever, I just won't go, I'll just run tomorrow at PE. But with that interview process, I'll say, okay, let's bring up your blog on a computer. Okay, so you did this, that's great, let's talk about that. What made you decide to do these things? And hopefully it'll be because of the education we've provided them as to the healthy benefits of keeping yourself active outside of the hour and 20 minutes that we have in school. So, we'll see.
Thank you.
Yeah.